Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today we're talking about everybody's favorite topic, leadership. I don't know why the leadership episodes tend to get the most downloads, and I hope this one is nothing short of that. We have an amazing guest with us, and I have something hysterical to read as soon as I introduce him. But before that, Chris Thyberg, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Brandon, thanks so much. I'm really glad to be with you and your audience. Hi, folks.
We're glad to have you here. I just read this as the intro was playing. I read the first part of it, the topic that you submitted for the show. You said, I help work suck less, one evolving leader at a time. And I was like, that's funny. That's awesome. I can't wait to talk about that. And then I read part 2 of that sentence, which is, I view myself as a leadership midwife. I can't have the baby for you, but I can support you through the challenges. Chris, babies in leadership, you got to help me understand how this is a related concept today.
Okay. Well, let's come at this first by establishing the basic principle. The quality of our businesses, our enterprises depend entirely on leadership. If leadership is working well and creating the conditions for thriving and growth and creativity and creating real value in the world, success. But you can have every other thing right, and a bad leader is going to tank that every time, without exception. It's true in families, it's true in governments, it's true in your businesses. It's just true. Now, when I meet with leaders, and I want you to be seeing yourself in this conversation, not me. Look at yourself. Imagine you got a mirror. I'm with leaders who are at a growing edge, where more of what they've always done, in fact, they've defined their entire identity around this, it's actually not working. They're getting in their own way. And oftentimes they come in a panic. I'm at a growth stage of the business and I can't get there. I just got promoted and now I have my first 360 and I find out my team hates me. Like, what the heck? And they come in with a place kind of saying, I must be broken, right? Chris, fix me. And I say, you're not broken. A great coach begins with, Brandon, as a leader, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you are already whole. You're already resourceful. You're already capable. You're already resilient. You just might not be tapped into all that right now. And so if I come to you with that, then I put it this way, you're already pregnant with the next great leader you are going to be. It's already there. No matter how crappy things seem right now, you already have greatness there. You just need sometimes a partner to walk alongside this growing edge, this birthing process, to get what's in there up and out of you and out into the world, to find the stuff that makes value, that really creates better life for all the stakeholders you have, your employees, your customers, your partners, your investors, the communities, the planet. So that's why I use that metaphor that I'm a midwife.
I love it. I think it relates beautifully to, especially how you said the next version of you're already pregnant with. So you also said something interesting too, and that is that when you're promoted to a leader, some people don't think that they have it within themselves to be a leader. If we oversimplify this, which I know what I'm doing here, we're oversimplifying and saying there are 2 types of leaders: those who are born to be leaders and those who are not, but find themselves in a leadership role. Where do you find yourself being called in most often? Because I would think even people who are born to be leaders, I mean, they want to be better, right? Yeah. But which people are asking for help more frequently?
I'm going to have to say it's 50-50, and that's not, being coy about it. There are people who do come in feeling, I already know I'm a good leader. In fact, I sense since I was 5, I've been meant to be a leader. But I'm at this place, like I said, the growing edge, where actually if I keep just trying harder and faster and louder to do what was the thing, It's actually counterproductive. I'm getting in my own way. And then there are some who are promoted and they come in with that kind of imposter syndrome thing of, well, if they only knew what I really am, they never would have promoted me. And it's only a matter of time before I crash and burn in a spectacular way. So it's both and the truth for both those people, if you think you were born a leader, maybe not. And if you think it got thrust on you, well, maybe the universe has something in mind. How about we actually come to the place of wherever you are now, if you know you are always a beginner, like wherever you are now, you are always a beginner. And if you're asking yourself, how might I be wrong, even though I really think I'm right? Now you're open to the thing. Folks out there, if this is one takeaway, anything, it's this. If you want to lead well, whether you feel you are gifted from birth to it's been thrust upon you, you have to lead yourself well first. If you can't lead yourself, no one should be following you. And if you can't lead yourself and then lead from within that core of you, not just the competencies like apps on the phone, like all the stuff, the visible outer game of leadership. Yes, all that. I'm with clients really improving all of that. But when they're ready to say, man, I think it's an operating system upgrade I need. I think it's the platform of my leadership. Well, if you're in that place, ready to do that kind of work, then you're ready.
I'm curious, so which one, if between the two, you find an easier path to get
there? Wow. Again, it's going to sound like I'm dodging, but I'm not. Because the nature of really great coaching is that it is so, I'll use the word intimate. It's such a partnership between the coach and the client. And so there aren't cookie cutter recipes, even though I have training and models and resources, plenty. So when it's great with somebody who says, I know I'm meant to be a leader, then it's all right then. Are you raising up great leaders to come after you? Ooh, that gets interesting fast. So that might be the hook in there. And that's super fun. And it's somebody who thinks, I don't know why they ever promoted me. Well, then that's really great too. They're different. I like both. Here's what doesn't work for me. I'll just say it. If somebody just comes in and says, Chris, show me how to fake whatever faking I need to do to get the next promotion, the next paycheck, I'm going to say, dudes, read the name of my company, The Serving Way. If you don't actually understand that you are called as a leader, whether born or it's thrust upon you, to serve those entrusted into your care so that they can flourish and create real value, then I'm probably not the coach for you. There are people who help you fake it, not me. But if you actually realize that it's time for kind of an upgrade of who you are and why you want to lead at all, now we're talking.
Yeah, that's a beautiful mindset too. And I want to jump over to, because you brought it up, the name of your company. And I think it's an overused term, servant leadership. Maybe not overused, but it's taken out of context a lot.
Yes.
I'd love to hear, because it is the name of your company, you obviously believe in it. What does servant leadership mean for you?
Okay. So many ways to come at it. It's the best question ever. I'll come at it with an African proverb first. When the way is clear in daylight, the leader is in the back carrying the baggage. That's one form of serving. It's the one people go to. Oh, serving leader is soft. It's all kumbaya. It's all, let me take care of you, Brandon. Let me serve you. Relationships, results don't matter. Let's all just be one big happy family. No. Just no. The other part of the proverb is when it's dark and dangerous, the leader goes out front with a torch. That's just as much serving, especially when we're in whitewater conditions of complexity, which we're all in. What I mean by that is It's volatile. It's uncertain. It's complex. It's ambiguous. We don't even know the right questions to ask. We don't even know where the cause and effect lines go. In that space, to be a true servant, to serve as a leader, means it could be really rough. We might have to reinvent. There might be layoffs. We might utterly fail, but we're going together, and I'm going out front. And when we succeed, you are the stars. And if we bump, that's on me. I'm the leader. So see, the serving is about leading wisely and well. And the leading is about serving wisely and well. And we can get the wisely and well wrong in both ways. You know, I've been with some leaders who say, yeah, I'm a servant leader. And right underneath, but I'm really serving myself. And actually, Chris, by saying I'm serving you, it's kind of manipulative and creepy. And then I have people who don't use the language at all of I'm a serving leader. And it's so clear that they understand that if their people sit up a little straighter and the people's shoulders are a little broader and they take on the hard stuff in these whitewater conditions, then everyone wins. So they may not have the language, but they just get it. That to lead wisely and well, they're going to have to serve wisely and well, and to serve wisely and well, they're going to have to lead. Courage, vision, resilience, leading themselves well first. Yeah. What do you think about that? Because serving leadership does get a bad rap as a whole bunch of pious hoo-ha.
I was going to say, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with it's clear that you're serving you piece, and people toss that term around. Then you look at their teams, their employees, and you're like, I don't know, if you were a real servant leader, these people wouldn't be so upset with you and they wouldn't be so miserable all the time, which is why I said I think it's an overused term. I don't think it's a bad principle. I just don't think people truly know what it means. And I like your answer. But
you just triggered something in my, may I jump in?
Yeah, please.
All right. Here's a pitfall I say all the time. I want to be a serving leader. Why? And we pull back the layers because I really want people to like me. In fact, I'm more driven by people liking me than having the hard conversations. That's not serving them. If you can't have the hard conversation that everybody needs and knows is in the room, you can be really liked, but you're not serving anybody but yourself. So that I just riffed off that thing because you put it out there so nicely. You know, you think you're serving leader and everyone around you is saying, nuh-uh. But then you're not willing to lean in and say, okay, so actually we're going to have the hard talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I truly believe, and I've seen this over and over in every company I've been a part of, my own, others I've worked for, and those that I've consulted for. Human beings want to grow. I don't think people just take a job to have a job for the rest of their life. Like there comes a point in everybody's career that they want to be a better human being, better at that career. And if the leader is just pushing off the hard conversations and they're letting people exist but not helping them grow,
yes,
I have found that those companies have the highest turnover. Even though it seems like they're the most peaceful, air quotes, on paper, they are the most unhappy and most unproductive teams. What do you feel about that?
Spot on. And the data, and the data supports it. All the studying of engagement at work, Gallup, McKinsey, ADP, everyone. First of all, engagement at work is the #1 predictor of actually the success of the enterprise. And engagement stats are in the toilet. Only about 18% can say they're fully engaged at work.
Wow.
And the percentage of actively disengaged, that is, they're on their way out, or worse, they're sabotaging from within, it's scary high. And then the big middle is kind of floating. Well, especially with pandemic and generational change, all the data, all these folks are saying, I don't want a job. I want to be acting in purpose. I don't want a paycheck. I want some meaning in what I do. I don't want a boss. I want a coach. I'll just put a little parenthesis. I spend so much of my time giving away my coaching secret sauce to leaders so that they will actually lead more like coaches instead of commanders and controllers. But all the data shows that, just as you said, when people, it's even more detailed. I can share this, maybe you can pass it in the show notes. There's some great studies, and there are 8 factors that are most predictive of that employee engagement. And I'm not going to rattle through all 8. The one that speaks to what you just said is, at my place of work, I get to grow in my strengths every day. That is the number one highly correlated of those 8 factors. If people can say that, I get to grow in my job every day by tapping my strengths and getting better what I'm already good at, rather than focusing on where I suck, then yeah, I will bring my best thinking, my best heart, my best energy to work every day.
Yeah, that's I would love to definitely send me that. I'll put that in the show notes down below so you can the listeners can go check it out. Another thing that you brought up earlier, and I've always been, I guess, a little bit confused by, but I keep a really close eye on this. And I would assume some people bring you in, maybe it's the upper management, the executive C-suite, and they say things like, we want better leaders, we want a better team, we want a better culture, all this stuff. But you said the core of leadership is being able to lead yourself. And I see a lot of people in leadership roles who don't have the discipline, whether that's to keep their own physical shape, mental shape, whatever it is. And they're expecting others to be, this picture of leadership or whatever the situation may be. How often do you see that happening? And how do you go about making someone lead themselves first before they start to really lead others?
Yeah. Let me start with sort of a very pragmatic thing. I don't do any engagement that doesn't involve an alignment with the sponsor stakeholder. That's the person who says, hey, we think Brandon needs some coaching. And then Brandon, you, and the 3 of us have to agree. Why are we here? Because if the boss just wants me to fix you, it ain't going to happen. And if you want growth and stuff, but your boss actually talks the talk, but actually doesn't want to see you grow up in your own power, then okay. So there's a triangulation where the client's goals and the organization's goals have to mesh, and it has to be done out loud. It's an explicit form of contracting, so all the stakeholders are getting their needs met. And people are paying me real money for real performance results that stakeholders can point to and say, yeah, there's evidence that Brandon is actually really better at these things. Cool. So what about this lead from within? Well, I can't make people take this place, go to that place. What happens is that we start from the outside always. We start above the waterline of the iceberg. What's the actual behavioral stuff that's getting in your own way? And when the time is right, they begin to say, if I really want to change in a very sticky way, how my outward performance, what I say, what I do, how I show up, the techniques, the competencies, and I mispronounced it on purpose, so you hear me, the competencies of leadership. They get really aware, if I want that stuff to last after Chris has put himself out of a job coaching me, which is my job, to put myself out of the job, well, then they realize I've got to go below the waterline of the iceberg. How do I make meaning of the world? What are my limiting beliefs that I've always thought are true, but they're not? What stories do I tell myself that hold me back? Where do I actually have immunity to change? Which means I can say I'm really committed to changing, but I don't, which actually means I'm not committed. That's an inner thing. And it always comes down to the person finds out I'm committed to other things and I didn't even know what they were. Let me go back to that example. The person who says, I'm really committed to leading with a bit more presence and influence. Cool. Why aren't you doing it? Well, I'm actually more committed to being liked. Oh, that's an inside who you are, why you lead. And that's where the pivot comes. It comes very naturally. Like a midwife, I don't make anything happen. That baby's coming. But I help people know, leaders know, hey, it's time to push. No, it's time to breathe and relax. Do you want an ice chip? And so I hope that answers why that leading oneself first organically emerges in the partnership between me and clients. And I'm fine if it doesn't emerge much or only very late, because I always meet a client where they are and go with them where they want to go at their pace. But I've never yet had a client, and I've had hundreds, who don't eventually look at that place and say, yeah, it's an inner game. The inner game of my leadership drives the outer game every time. As I said before, and the leadership is the determining factor. Is this a viable enterprise?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I love your take on it too. It's so, you would think common sense, but it's not common practice, at least in the
That is a brilliant distinction. That's lovely.
Chris, I love this. This is a fantastic, look at me trying to speak today. Fantastic episode. Where can the listeners learn more about you and what you have to offer in the world of leadership?
Well, theservingway.com is my website. Please go there. And I hope you'll find that you see yourself. I want you to come to that website and say, I don't know what it is, but Chris actually already gets where my pain is and where my potential is. Because this is always about you, the client. If I use another metaphor, you are always Fred Astaire. You always lead. I am Ginger Rogers. So I can move backwards and in heels and a flowing gown really well. But it all starts with you seeing yourself and saying, oh, I think he's got his finger. We should have a conversation about what my growing edges are. So please check that out. And then all the stuff of what service is, what's my training, background, testimonials, all that good stuff is there. But the main thing is look for yourself. And when you're there, you'll find a link to just booking an exploratory conversation. It is never a sales conversation. It's actually a small taste of coaching because, Brandon, people don't know what they're buying when they're buying coaching. It's a weird product. But I'll put it this way. When it works, clients understand what they're in the market for is some hope. They want to know there's a possibility that with a companion and a guide, they can make some really important shifts. So book that free exploratory conversation. It's a taste of coaching. It's not a sales pitch. If it's a good fit, we move on. If I don't think it's a good fit, we're not moving on. Even if you think it is, this is our dance together. And so in the show notes you've given in calendly.com, the_serving_way, cool. And you'll find the same link at the website. And then if you're a LinkedIn fan, just search for me under my name, Chris Thyberg. And you'll find all the stuff that you'd expect at a LinkedIn, including the stuff that I publish periodically there. Or just simply gifts to other coaches and gifts to leaders of, hey, I usually see this with a client. And when they're struggling with this, these two new thoughts tend to unlock a lot of new practices. And when they try some of those on, stuff happens. Here you go. Take it. Try it. Because I trust that if I serve you first, last, and always from the very first conversation on, the universe is going to take care of me when it comes to having the clients I need and the clients that are my joy, the way I fulfill my own purpose, my own calling. And I come to this after like 30 plus years of senior leadership, working in firms and leading other leaders and advising the C-suite. This thing of coaching is my legacy. It's why I'm still on the planet. So there you go.
I love it, Chris. Thanks for being here. This was a great episode.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I've enjoyed it. And I totally dig the name of your firm and this upside down ?D. It's brilliant.
Gotta love it. If you're listening and not watching, come over to the YouTube party every now and then and just see the obnoxious question mark behind me. But we love having you. Thank you for listening to this show. Make sure you subscribe. And yes, everything Chris said, all of the links, all of the goodies down below in the show notes, wherever you are. Remember, we put out these episodes 5 days a week because we're a little crazy, but we also want to help you grow your business. In this case, uplevel your leadership and get to that next level so you can grow and build a more harmonious business and life. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Thanks for tuning in.